Okay, well, we saved the best for last, I guess. Oh, geez. The year is 2006, and we have just seen a rough cut of the movie that will be titled Santa Claus 3 Escape Clause when it is released in theaters later this year. But we're going to fix it. Cue that intro.
Hello, everyone. Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. Welcome to the Mirror Movie Universe podcast, where we fix up little movies that we love and enjoy, or maybe in this case, don't enjoy so much. I've seen this movie about 100,000 times. My name is Dan, and I'm one half of the host of this show. The other half of the host of this show is Nate, my little brother, who has seen this once.
I've seen it once, everybody. That's we'll talk about it, but that was enough for me. So yeah, absolutely. Oh, geez.
So we're going to do our best to fix the movie and make it a little bit better. But before we do that, we need to talk about the movie itself. So we open on Mrs. Claus, who is pregnant and about to give birth. She is lonely and sad that she's not surrounded by tall people, her family. And so Scott Calvin comes up with the brilliant idea of bringing the greatest comedic actor of a generation into the Santa Claus franchise. I'm not talking about Martin Short. I'm talking about Alan Arkin, his father-in-law. So Alan Arkin and Anne Margaret are his in-laws, and he goes down to visit them and get them to come to the North Pole. He is accompanied by Mr. Worf from Star Trek The Next Generation, who makes them fall asleep and then brings them to the North Pole, along with Neil and Laura and Lucy. Not Charlie, though. He's off doing Christmas at his girlfriend's or something. So they all come to the North Pole. There's some shenanigans going on, and this is when we are introduced to Jack Frost, played by Martin Short. Jack Frost from that one line of that one song, and he does wintry stuff. And he is in trouble with the Council of Legendary Creatures because he's doing bad stuff. He's making volcanoes freeze over, whatever. So he's going to help Santa, and that's his punishment or whatever for everything he's doing. He's charged with 200 counts of upstaging Santa. So anyway, he's there and he is sabotaging everything. He's starting stuff on fire. He's freezing other stuff. He's blowing stuff up. He gets Curtis, the elf, to accidentally tell him what the escape clause is. It turns out there's this magic snow globe, and if you say the phrase, "I don't want to be Santa anymore," then it takes you back in time. So he gets Scott Calvin or Santa Claus to get that snow globe by basically ruining everything with the in-laws and the family and everything, who, by the way, they've convinced that it's Canada, which is a lovely joke.
That is a fun part of this movie, yes.
Yes. And so he convinces him that it's he gets him to say the thing, and the snow globe, they go back in time, and we get a treat, which is the footage from the original Santa Claus movie, which came out like 14 years ago. And we get to see Jack Frost put on the suit, and suddenly we're 12 years back into the future. And Tim Allen is Tim Allen, and he's just a regular Scott Calvin guy. He's in his toy company. He's successful, but he doesn't have his family or anything else. Turns out that Jack Frost has turned the North Pole into this giant amusement park. So he goes and visits, and where he meets him, and in a very classic holiday movie, Home Alone 2 twist, gets him, Jack Frost, to record into the pen him saying, "I don't want to be Santa anymore." And then he gets to play it while Lucy throws the snow globe. Even though she doesn't know who he is, he still convinces her to help him. And Jack Frost and him go back in time again. This time, Santa Claus tackles him, and they watch Tim Allen put on the suit, and he goes back to being Santa. Well, but we're not out of the woods yet, because at some point Jack Frost froze Neil and Laura. And so Lucy has to give him a hug, which warms his heart. It's a very endearing moment. And then he melts, and he's totally fine now. And then they are unfrozen. And no, the baby's coming. And then the baby is delivered. And then he goes and delivers all the toys in the world. And that is the Santa Claus 3 in a nutshell. Nate, I'm so curious. What did you enjoy about this movie?
I've got two things on my list, Dan. I've got
All
my
right.
notes right here on the computer. Let's see. Thing number one, Martin Short. Choose the scenery just delightfully as the villain. Some of the gags I remember seeing in like trailers as a kid. He like yells, "I invented chill." That's like all over the trailers for this movie. But Martin Short is, I don't know, I think often overlooked as a comedic actor because he's often upstaged himself by people like Steve Martin and Chevy Chase and contemporaries from the SCTV and SNL group at the time. And I'm glad that he got the work. And he does a great job. He does a really great job as Jack Frost. I think you could play this way over annoyingly, and he toes that line, but he does a great job. Second thing I like about this movie. Let's look at my list. Aha! Alan Arkin, who, as you said, plays Santa's father-in-law. The entire gag where they think it's Canada is just delightful. And just like he pulls off dialogue that if you gave to a different actor, it would have just been dialogue where like they and it's but the way he does it, it's funny. It's like, hey, they say like a comedian can read a phone book and it'll be funny. There's a bit where like there's doing construction or something in the elf hospital, and the father-in-law is supposed to say this is the delivery room, but Alan Arkin is like, this is the delivery room, and it's like, I'm not doing it justice. He's funny as hell.
This is a broom
And
closet. Oh, great. Our daughter's going to give birth in a broom closet at a toy factory. Yeah.
yeah, no, that's great. It's like if the two of those were not here, um I don't think I'd like this movie as nearly as much as I do. They save it out of a bit of a swan dive for the franchise. I think that's just my opinion. But keep in mind, I've only seen this movie once. I saw it a couple of days ago. Dan, you've seen this as many times as you've seen the others.
Yeah. Maybe a
What
little less, but yeah, a lot.
what do you like about it?
Well, let's just pile on with Alan Arkin. He's amazing, and Margaret is
Mm-hmm.
great too. She
No.
plays the other half of the in-laws there.
Mm-hmm.
I love them. They are so great, and it's so funny to see them be like, "Oh, it'd be nice if you called more." Like, it's
Mm-hmm.
so great to see that even Santa Claus has to deal with that,
Yeah.
and it's some fantastic. I love what you said about it because he has so many great moments
Mm-hmm.
as the father. He's my favorite part of this.
Mm-hmm.
100%. Oh, you did not enjoy Yosemite because it was cold and there were bears? That's so good. One of my favorite things, I love how you say the thing about a comedian can read a phone book because there's like a little line, and it's my favorite joke of the whole thing. It's just this
Mm-hmm.
little throwaway line. So after they are taken to the North Pole, they sleep the whole way. And so they
Mm-hmm.
dream the flight, right?
Yeah.
So Anne Margaret is like, "Oh, it was wonderful. I had this delicious meal. It was in first class." And
Mm-hmm.
Alan Arkin hates his son-in-law so much that he dreams this horrible experience. And so he's like, "You got a meal? I had peanuts. So you made seem coached." It's just so great that even
Yeah.
in his dreams, he hates him.
Yeah.
Um, this is one of my loves from the second one. I love the relationship between Lucy and Uncle Scott. I think that whole
Mm-hmm.
thing is just absolutely beautiful, and it's so fun to see her come to the North Pole for the first time, and to have
Yeah.
him show her his, the snow globes and everything, and
Mm-hmm.
and that moment at the end where she hugs Jack Frost and warms his heart. That is like a really touching, really endearing moment, and it's done really, really well. I absolutely love that, and the Canada jokes are so good. Like, welcome
Mm-hmm.
to Canada, eh? It's so good. Um, I love all of that, and I feel like I do not like Martin Short as much as you, but that's okay. Um, I would just have a movie of the Santa Claus and his in-laws, and I
Yeah.
would be so happy with it. Like,
Oh,
that
same.
is absolutely hilarious.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we do know that there are problems with this movie.
Yeah.
So we do need to fix. Nate, what are you going to fix about the Santa Claus 3?
I mean, if I could make the Santa Claus 3 just a movie with Santa Claus and his in-laws where they are in the normal city and they're doing normal stuff and it's more just about that relationship, I that would be wonderful. You know, the Jack Frost thing is fine as an antagonistic thing, but they spend like 10 minutes in the past like fixing it. Like it's not that big of a, I don't know. It just doesn't play that well. I liked the first movie a lot because it wasn't like this bombastic, grandiose thing. It was the story about this nuclear family and mostly about the dad and his son. So like, if I could make it, you know, entirely remake it, I do a thing with just the, you know, the in-laws because that would be funnier, honestly. But I don't have the budget to remake this movie. Nor would I have the energy within me to remake this movie. There's quite a lot going on. So, and you tell me if this actually happens, because I turned off the movie at like right when credits rolled, but I'd film an after credit sequence. That
During the credits, it's gags throughout the movie. It's like a blooper reel
Oh,
plays.
okay.
So
After credit scene, I would do a bit where Jack Frost and the father-in-law, Martin Short and Alan Arkin, are like sitting together in the North Pole after Jack Frost has been like defrostified or whatever. They're sitting in the North Pole and they're just complaining about Santa Claus together. Like Jack Frost is like, he's so jolly all the time. And Alan Arkin is like, I know, I just thought he was drunk. Like just a couple of minutes of that. Just like, you know, like 30, 45 seconds, something like that. Just give me a bit where the film's main antagonist is talking to the film's joke antagonist, the father-in-law, about Santa Claus, and just have them crap on him a little bit. Like that would be funny as hell. And I would really like that. Glad that didn't actually happen. Because now it's an original idea. But yeah, no, I think that would be great. I would enjoy that
I
a lot.
love that so much because you're right. They never shared the screen, just the two of them. There are moments
No.
when Jack Frost is there with kind of everybody in the nuclear family and he's kind of planting ideas and stuff. But I don't even think you need to do it at the end. It could be in the middle of the movie.
Yeah.
And it could be his kind of conniving thing to just pull Alan Arkin aside and be like, oh gosh, what is up with that guy? And he's like, I know, he's the worst. Oh my gosh. We weren't even at the
Yeah.
wedding. You weren't at the wedding? No, they ran off. Like you could
They
have that.
eloped to Canada.
Yes.
Yeah.
Give me like 3 minutes of that, and I would be
Yeah.
so happy. Because you're right,
That
they are
would,
the two antagonists there, and they never really are in the same scene together.
yeah. Even you could even have that scene end be like, listen, I want to, you know, I want to screw this guy over. You know, can you give me a hand? And then, you know, you can have the father like half-heartedly in on it. That's stretching it a little. I really just want it for the comedy though. Because yeah, I would like that a lot.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. Yeah.
Yeah. What I mean, is yours for comedy? What would you fix about it?
No, mine is not for comedy. One of the things that bother me about this is that the idea that a legendary creature could be evil. So you've got Mother Nature, you've got Father Time, the Sandman, the Easter Bunny, Cupid, and Jack Frost. And Jack Frost is just suddenly evil. That seems really weird to me. So my original idea was make him a regular guy who figures out where the North Pole is or something. But by the rules of this show, we can't do that because that would be a complete reshoot of the whole movie. So
Yeah.
what I want to do is really focus on what I'm calling the It's a Wonderful Life moment when they go back in time and he sees everything that is different about his life. So he's this super awesome executive at this company. He goes to see Charlie and Laura, and Charlie just brushes him off. Neil and Laura are divorced now, which I think makes a lot of sense because he was such a jerk to Neil. So of course he drove a wedge between them.
Yeah.
But there are some things missing from that. And I'm pushing the boundaries with how much I can fix here. But there are two things that I really, really, really want to add in. One, we never see Mrs. Claus. We never see in that sequence what happens to her. He asks Laura,
Yeah,
his ex-wife,
they say she like moves away or something.
Yeah,
but they
like she's like, oh,
never.
she moved out of town.
Mhm.
But you don't know anything else. Is she happy? Is she not? What's the relationship with her parents like? Which is very, very weird because that's the other central conflict of this movie.
Mhm.
And so show me the first thing that I want to see is to have him run into her somewhere. It could be like walking down the street, it could be at the North Pole. It does not matter. Just
Mhm.
have him run into her and show that her life is also like worse off, which makes sense because she was kind of a Scrooge like character from the second film, and meeting Santa warmed her heart and everything. So without him, maybe she's worse off. She's angry and mean at the world and stuff. You don't see that. The
Mhm.
the other thing that I want to do is Charlie is doing the same stuff in the kind of It's a Wonderful Life alternate version and the real thing. At the beginning, he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna go spend Christmas with my girlfriend," and in
Mhm.
the It's a Wonderful Life thing, he's like, "See ya," and he
Mhm.
leaves to go spend Christmas maybe with his girlfriend. So it's weird to me like that he's not doing anything. It's also weird to me that he's not in this movie very much. His little
No, I don't like that
sister
either.
or brother, I don't know. His little sibling is about to be born,
Yeah.
and we've talked about how great the co-parenting and everything is in this family, and he's not there. He doesn't really care. He shows up at the very end of the movie, but why is he not more of a part of it? So the
Mhm.
other thing I want to do is bring him to the North Pole, shoot some insert scenes with him running around. You don't even have to have him flying on the sleigh. Okay,
Mhm.
he could show up later and be like, I wanted to be here for the birth of the kid and help
Mhm.
out. He
Yeah.
says that later in the movie. Just have him say it earlier. Show some funny stuff that happens with him because you're doing funny stuff with Neil, you're doing funny stuff with Laura, you're doing some funny stuff with Lucy. Just do
Mhm.
some stuff with Charlie.
Yeah.
He can go off and meet up with an old elf friend or something,
Yeah.
shoot a couple scenes to show that. And that way, when you get to the It's a Wonderful Life bit where it's very this alternate weird thing and he's brushing off his dad, it makes him very different and jarring.
Yeah. It feels out of the ordinary.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. I like this. And I know I say that a lot, but there's like I did not like this movie nearly as much as the first one. Um and so like almost anything that you could do, like push in any direction, and I think that this movie gets better. And you've hit the head nail on the head of what I like about this series is the relationship between the dad and the kid. So yeah, get him in there and make him more involved and contrast the the real good times Charlie with the bad I'm estranged from my family Charlie. Makes sense to me. Why not? Why not? Yeah,
Well,
that's
all
good.
right, I'll take it. I think that one of the things that It's a Wonderful Life does so well is it takes time to develop the both versions, both with George Bailey and without, and to show
Mhm.
how it affects all these different characters in the whole town. And here it's really, really fast. It's just
Mhm.
we're gonna show it to you and go.
Yeah,
And so like just give me a little bit more time. This movie's barely 90 minutes. I think maybe like
yeah,
92 or something. So like just give
yeah,
me 5 more minutes before and after to really flesh that out.
yeah. Because like the entire third act of It's a Wonderful Life is in the alternate past or whatever where he was never born, and it makes a lot of sense to flesh that out. Because they do the scene where he talks to his ex. Neil's not there. They do the scene where he's an executive, and they're like, "We always work Christmas Eve, sir." And then he's at the North Pole, and he's already facing down Jack Frost with the recording pen thing. So it does feel rushed. Um, it feels very rushed.
Yeah.
Yeah, fix that up. Fix that up. All right, audience. Which of our fixes would you want to pull off? Do you want more comedy with Martin Short and Ellen Arkin? Because I sure do. Or do you want to let the past scenes breathe a little bit and characterize the son a little bit better? Which also I'm all for. Let us know down in the comments in the doobly doo. And in the meantime, like, comment, subscribe, and all of that bull crap. But if there's nothing else, Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to everybody. And we'll see you next time when we pitch a follow on to the Santa Claus series.
The Santa Claus 4
Mm.
subtitle with the clause in it somewhere.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. Next episode.
See ya.